Oh boy, that was bad.
It's going to always sound like we're out of sync with each other because, like, Discord. And that's the point of the clap.
Ah, jeez.
God will always know where you clapped.
That is maybe one of my
regardless.
favorite Larry the Cable Guy stupid bits that's always in my head.
Oh, which one?
On the first day of Christmas, my girlfriend gave to me the clap and I left her.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
It's a short story.
it's like an anti-joke because instead of going through the whole song, it's extremely short and over.
Yeah, because everyone's prepared for, oh, God, we're in this for a while.
Yeah, like what are Larry's fucking 12 days? And it's like, oh, he only has like half of a one day, and it's over.
And then just like that, it's done.
Hey, welcome to Last Minute Politics,
Yay.
where we talk about stand-up, but also we sometimes talk about politics. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and every major like podcast distribution website if you have the time. Hell, even if you don't have the time, even if you're driving your car, I don't care how busy you are, get on your phone, go to one of our apps, like a place you can find our podcast, and either subscribe or give us some like 5-star review and just say like penis. Well, you can't. They'll censor your review if you do that. But
Pen 15, pen
leave us some
15,
reviews.
pen 15.
Yeah, pen 15 it up.
Pen 15. And tell your friends.
Find us on somewhere and interact with us. Find us on Twitter at Last Minute POL, Last Minute Poll, because they wouldn't let us put all the letters of the title because I didn't know there was a character restriction. What's going on with you guys?
Oh, not
Besi-
much.
We have
Character limits and
Xander.
things.
We have Xander and Draggor along with me. I'm Pepper Coyote.
Hi.
Again with us.
Hey,
Any,
how's it
like,
going?
I feel weird doing like anything happening with COVID? We're like, yep,
Yes,
been sitting
actually.
in my house.
I had a COVID scare.
Yeah.
Oh, me too, but it was really like indirect. Tell us about yours. Yours is way better.
So at the beginning of day 3 of having a metallic taste in my mouth, not no taste, but a strong metallic taste, and then I also got the runs. Diarrhea, for those who don't know what that is. I didn't go out running suddenly.
So you had blown RoboCop and whatever his jizz substitute is.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't realize we were going right to Mecha Dick. Okay.
Man.
Yeah,
But yeah,
man, like I have this strange metallic taste in my mouth. Ever since Krang's robot left my apartment.
It tastes like justice.
It's like,
It tastes like Mark Zuckerberg.
wow, that's topical. In a minute.
No,
I
actually,
know.
no, it just-
But
All right, keep
so
going.
I had metallic taste in my mouth and I had diarrhea. I get a hold of I've tried to get a hold of doctors. I leave messages. None of them can get back to me until Thursday morning. And by then that Wednesday night is just full blown. After we watch wrestling, I'm in full blown panic attack. It sucked. Thursday morning, I get a call that says you need to go get a COVID test ASAP because they're not sure. Like they know statistically loss of taste and smell is a big indicator, but change of taste, they have a lot of question marks on. And if you go Google it, you'll find something. So they fast track me and I go do the test and then I have to wait. The runs subside quickly. The test comes back negative. So huzzah, their backup diagnosis was I have a thrush infection, not because of anything of conduct or behavior, but that is a very common side effect of the asthma medication I'm on.
oh, no.
Ah, okay. Like
And-
just from like the inhalate.
Yeah, any of the powdered inhalers, they're essentially corticosteroids, and anything that's mildly an immunosuppressant, the bacteria that gives you a thrush infection naturally lives in your mouth. So there are many ways where it can get imbalanced and go crazy. The other part, too, was I didn't have the visual signs that were obvious. If you look up thrush pictures, it's disgusting. Mine did not look like that, but I had the other symptoms.
So you were like a partially, instead of being like weird symptomatic COVID, you were like weird symptomatic thrush infection.
Yes.
That's weirdly, isn't it a weird world where you're like, oh, thank goodness, it's just this weird infection in my mouth.
Yeah.
That is my life, though, Pepper. Like,
Right?
I am a genetic
mean-
reject. It's something like this about once a year.
Yeah. And now anytime anyone gets sick, it's like, oh shit, you know?
Oh, exactly. Anytime you cough, it's like, wait.
Yeah.
Is it just early in the morning? Luckily, I just sneeze all the time for no reason, and that's not a COVID thing, so I don't get too...
Alkaline
Right.
coughs all the time, and I knew that
Yeah.
beforehand. He does. He's a coffee boy.
Just kind of... It's because he screams all the time. He has to have just, like, the driest throat.
I mean, part of it is the weed, but
That
he
is
does
well.
also have
That's-
the driest throat.
Yeah, COVID, I really, really want studies as to whether or not weed does anything for COVID, because they were kind of studies, but also,
Right.
like, because of U.S. regulations, we can't study that shit for any reason, let alone, like, oh, quick, do your weed test. Like, it'll also be foreign studies.
Speaking of, the House measure is there that's going to get shot down by the Republicans in Mitch.
Nice. I mean, yeah, keep sticking it up there. Well,
That's
yeah.
how it passed in Illinois. It kept coming up until finally they're like,
Arizona, too.
yeah.
Was it decrim?
It took us 4 votes. Yeah, and then this last one we knocked out of the park. All right, quick aside: legalize weed in places. Yeah,
Yeah.
Arizona had like 4 votes. The most previous one in 2016 lost by like 1 or less than 2%. Super close. Then this time it was a 60-40 landslide victory.
Do we want to talk about the landslide victory for something that won in the House that just got passed? That is no surprise to anyone.
Are we talking about the military budget that like, oh,
Yeah.
all these leftist progressive Democrats, like, we must resist, we must fight Trump, we must stop the military industrial, we must help people with COVID. Oh, you have a $700 billion military bill that you want to get through? Yeah, no problem. Every single one of us will vote for that. And then we'll go back to complaining on the internet that we have no power or no leverage. Fucking threaten the military spending and suddenly Republicans will get the fucking line over whatever you want. They know that is untouchable, and I hate it.
Yeah, I saw Ilhan Omar speak out about it. I don't know what she voted, but
I was gonna say those people are probably they're like 70 votes against it. Yeah, talk for a second. I'm gonna look up who voted how.
yeah, sure. It was overwhelmingly for the budget, and what's ridiculous, and I'm sure you saw this too, Draggor and Pep, is just like they're like, we're very proud that we always pass this and on time. Like, why?
Because it's protecting America. It's supporting the troops. It is bullshit nationalism to an extreme. Did you
It's
know
scary.
if you restrict military budgets? By the way, I don't support canceling the military. There
Yeah.
are these things called other countries, and both unearned reasons and then earned reasons for shit things we've done. There's enemies out there. It's good to have defensive measures. Part of the reason we have borders is so the state, the entity you're in, can, on a grander scale, protect you. However, I don't want that to come at the cost of goddamn schools.
I am getting increasingly upset at how many Google searches I have done that do not return the vote roll for who voted how on this $700 billion fucking authorization act. I just can't find it. Like, I
That's
have
kind of
articles.
sad.
I have
By
articles all over the
design.
place telling me how many Republicans, how many Democrats, but not who. I can't just get my fucking list. I have to know the actual name of the bill. And god damn it, I am going to find it. Like, I'll just edit out a big chunk here where we fucking wait for me to find. Hold up. 2020 House vote. Maybe this is it. Okay, here we go. Now I have HR 6395, congress.gov. I think we're here. Okay,
Yeah.
this describes the bill. This is a summary. Oh my fucking god, can you tell? I know who the co-sponsor is now. I know who the committees are. And I know where okay, all actions? Like, give me the all actions.
Did
There's
you
the last
know,
action.
listeners, this is a symptom of a heavily dysfunctional representative democracy. This information should be effortless to acquire.
Yeah,
I think I found it. Office of the Clerk of the U.S. House. Votes by... I finally found it! I found
Holy
it!
shit.
So, okay, here's the path I had to take to find it. Wikipedia to congress.gov. The congress.gov page, specifically for only this bill, has so much shit on it. Like, it's... Okay, and then there's a little tab called Actions with 172 actions, and then within that, you go down to the, like, third most recent action, and it will say roll number 238. And that takes you to clerk.house.gov. /votes/ a bunch of numbers, and I think I now have it. Jesus. To remind everybody listening, the only reason this is like a big deal to me and why I'm like laboring over how stupid this is a national thing that is $700 billion with a B dollars in funding to go blow up poor people so Elon Musk can have his fucking cobalt. That's what this money is for. And I can't easily even figure out what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Like, who voted for what? Okay, let's see. So I want to organize by votes here. Let's go for nay, because there's only like 35 nay votes. Who we got? We got California Dem. Barragan voted no. Independent Amash. A bunch of Republicans. We got Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon. Both Oregon people voted no, or two of them. Bonamici, Pennsylvania. Nice, they voted no. Brandon Boyle. I'm just going to read all of them. There's not very many. We got Judy Chu voting no in California. New York Clark. Who the fuck else? Is there anybody that we fucking know here? Like, oh, yeah, you mentioned Ilhan Omar. Did she vote no? Let's see. E, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Ocasio-Cortez and Omar both voted no. Thank fucking God. They're not just full of shit. Because you can't talk that much shit and then vote for this, or I'll be like, look, guys, you're being absorbed into the structure that you all fought against to get to where you are.
All right. Let's talk about some politics.
We missed my topic last time, so we're starting with me, and now we're gonna we're gonna end up not doing someone else's because we talked about the Blue Collar Comedy Tour for half an hour. But I like it. I like doing it. This is I call it last minute politics because we didn't call it last minute like fucking around and also politics.
The politics are last minute because we have an hour and 20 before I disappear.
Okay. So, my topic for the week, for the fucking bye week, for the half of a month, whatever you call it, I want to. It's hard. I don't even know like how to approach this point. So I'm gonna read an article first here.
Okay.
So this is from the WAPO, the Washington Post. YouTube said it suspended right-wing channel One America News, or OANN, that we've been hearing about more recently, for 1 week, beginning Tuesday. This is like last Tuesday, so this is already like old news. For violating YouTube's policy against misinformation related to the COVID-19 pandemic and temporarily stripped the channel of its ability to make money. They demonetized and kind of, sort of, whatever, I guess, deplatformed OANN for like a week. This action against OAN, which Trump's allies have praised in recent weeks while raging against Fox News for supposed disloyalty. Yeah, like Fox is not weird enough for the president. OAN is his new thing. You've probably heard. During this month's election, was the latest sign that Silicon Valley was prepared to enforce policies against false and misleading information, even against those aligned with the president. YouTube spokeswoman Ivy Choi said, OAN, which has 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube video, which 1.2 million. What do you guys think of that in terms of? You're both familiar with YouTube. How big of a channel is that?
Oh boy,
that's big. But like, if you look at
it's
the
not
peak,
big
it's
for
a little
a
big.
news network.
No.
It would be big if it was like my channel. I'd be like, oh, you have a kind of a big channel. But like Markiplier has like 100 million subscribers.
Well, all right. Well, then you're starting to get in the discussion of outliers. But if you're at 1 million, that is a significant deal as far as how likely your videos are going to show up as suggestions in the algorithm. That's a big deal.
Still something, but OAN has a distribution past YouTube, I guess is what I'm kind of, is the point-ish I have there. YouTube is not their primary thing. They violated policy, killed, talking about COVID. Let's see. In addition to lose the ability to post new videos, OAN has been suspended from the partner program. Like, they lose a small amount of their ad money and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, there's one more. Google, which owns YouTube, has joined other leading tech companies this year in enforcing increasingly strict rules against misinformation that may confuse people about the nature, spread, treatment of novel coronavirus. So the reason I talk about this, most people would look at that and say, hey, that's a good move. We should be like penalizing OAN. And I don't disagree. I do not want to advocate for further distribution of the kind of misinformation that OAN is throwing out there. Heck, if you go, I don't know if they're still doing it, but for a long time, they just keep putting up the election map where they just haven't filled in a lot of states to make sure it looks like Trump either could win or is winning. Like, they just have a weird like, that's the level of delusion they're operating on. But at the same time, people look at this decision and they're like, oh yeah, this is good. We are fixing the problem. But what I see happening is not even slow motion. It's not even unobvious. The new way we're going to deal with stuff is that we just look for like daddy tech company to solve the problem for us, which is also seems to be why like Biden is filling his cabinet with tech executives. So the new mode seems to be someone is doing something wrong. Let us complain to whichever tech company, like who is the manager that I must speak to fix this problem for us. And that's like the new way to gain satisfaction over what are like societal issues is, we'll take down their YouTube page, or we'll block their Facebook account. And we're kind of like, we're abandoning even more collective community responsibilities to rando CEOs and people sitting in like censorship farms like Facebook does, where you have to like review videos of decapitations all day and go, nope, can't post that. Like that's how we're gonna like legislate morality now. What are your thoughts on it? I don't know if I have one single point. It just seems bad.
I have been a creature of the internet in tech essentially my entire life. I grew up with it in my household. And for record, I am almost 35 years old. What you're describing, this has basically been the thing for about 15 years. And it's just only become more apparent lately. Here's what I want to try and extract from you. Is your issue that it is a handful of companies in this amorphous cloud making these decisions? Like, is your issue with it divorced from the fact that the internet is here and isn't going away? Or is the fact that it's internet and decoupled from physical living, how much of that is in play for you? Or is that not something you've thought about?
My issue, I guess, is a combination of concentrating power over these kinds of decisions in just fewer and fewer hands, where now it's not even that, like, compared to this, taking something to a literal courtroom still has more like justification to it. More people are looking at it, more decentralization of power. There's still like an appeal court or whatever the fuck. Everyone hates how YouTube deals with any issue they have. Right now we're talking about like a concentrated on purpose misinformation thing. What if it was like you used a song that you didn't want them to use? No one likes how they deal with that either.
So let me zoom out, and this has been true of tech companies at large that essentially never needed or had a physical presence. So you can get a hold of someone at Microsoft without too much effort for something because they had to have that structure. They have had physical person help desks to do business support contracts. Google has never had that, nor have they needed to, and they have spent their entire lives fighting the need for it. So it's two parts. One is, so if you were to pragmatically look at Google's history when they were still having their motto of don't be evil, that was still there for essentially the following reason of, you go back, it's still true today, but you go back far enough and culpability and where things fall legally with regards to the internet was a rat's nest of a fuck awful situation. So it was, no one knew what the outcome would be. It hadn't happened yet, and it still hasn't happened for a large degree. So the non-evil history is they kept punting on it because as soon as you dip your toe in there, you're in it forever.
Oh yeah, my argument is that it shouldn't be their responsibility in the first place. It's not that I'm like, oh, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn fucking should do better. It's that should not be their job or business.
It unfortunately is a power grab, and it's there, and they have the power. Now we just gotta get it. I don't know what we do about it now.
It's gone from like a moderation issue to a concerted, absolutely on purpose power grab, which leads me to, here's some of the members of the transition team for Biden. We got Tom Sullivan, International Tax Director at Amazon. He's in the State Department. Mark Schwartz, also Amazon Web Services, Office of Management Budget Team. Brandon Belford, Senior Director at Lyft. Divya Kumaraya, strategy executive at Airbnb. Like, all these are companies that are just fucking over industry after industry. Like, if we're looking for any movement on worker rights, why the fuck are we hiring the people who are trying to like, Airbnb just is like a homelessness factory. Oh, you thought you could afford this apartment? Sorry, it's been bought, chopped into 15 Airbnbs, and is basically running as a hotel that is unregulated. Like, we have Uber exec Matt Olson. We got sales director of customer success at Salesforce, Michael Hornsberry. We got Tableau Software, LinkedIn. There we go. Nicole Isaac.
The Salesforce one is honestly, of everything listed, not even that offensive.
I haven't heard of that one. That's one I haven't heard of.
So this is my experience in the tech world. Salesforce is huge, like problematically huge, but in terms of the things they provide and help businesses with, both big and small, they're a vital resource. So like that one actually makes the most sense. All those other ones, fuck them. They shouldn't be there.
Oh, yeah, and it's not even my issue that some of these that like, if you replaced these as CEOs and executives of different companies, of a different set of companies, I would have the same problem. It's like, why are you hiring CEOs and executives to run your country? We all wanted Trump to be the business guy, and that didn't fucking work out. So why is our new guy also trying to be the business guy?
So Salesforce isn't like a business for its own merits. Salesforce is there to help and do the things that every business needs. Do you see what I mean? Like with the decoupling?
Yeah, but it's still a privately owned American company under capitalism, correct?
It is, and that's not great. But in terms of...
So its incentives are still the same as Lyft and Airbnb and Uber and Amazon. It's incentivized to behave in the same way, and it's not like this guy is some rogue progressive dude who's got to like, oh, I'll go against the the normal tenets of how to make as much money as possible.
I'm saying genuinely there is a line, and I just don't know how to draw it clearly, so maybe I go do some homework and figure out how to do that later.
This could be the CFO of my favorite company. I'm just leaving that as an open example. I still would not like it, because why are we filling the cabinet with business executives? It further proves my point of the Democrats are just corporatists,
yes.
Like a different brand of corporatism.
Yeah.
The Republicans are corporatists, the Democrats are corporatists. That is why when people say, oh, the Dems and Republicans are basically the same, because at the end result is I, as an employee, am treated worse and worse, regardless of if it is oil executives filling the cabinet or it is tech executives filling the cabinet. And the tech executives want to get involved in my everyday goddamn life. Exxon doesn't try to track me as much as fucking Amazon does. Yeah. Amazon runs every part of my life. They run the whole internet, and now they also are in the cabinet. They have the ear of the president daily, and that fucks me up.
So, like, here's one. Nicole Isaac, senior director at LinkedIn Treasury Review Panel. LinkedIn is one of the greatest tools the tech workforce has to essentially roundabout collude and keep salaries low.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like glass ceiling, but used.
Yes.
Sorry, glass door or whatever.
Glass ceiling.
But used. I'm sorry. I did it was on purpose. That wasn't a fuck around.
That's funny.
So here's my nightmare future. It seems like the Democrats want to put fucking Jack from Twitter in charge of like the censorship for the nation.
Correct.
And we're trying to make YouTube and Google standards, not just standards for their websites, but just like standards for decorum, where the US government is and all of our community things, we're kind of we're advocating yet another social responsibility of, like taking care of each other and deciding what is acceptable and what isn't, and putting it into the hands of about 6 people.
So Pepper, how is
fewer
this?
and fewer hands?
So here,
Sure, go for it.
Go ahead.
How is this that much different than what was already happening through lobbying?
It's not. That's my point. It's just worse, and they find new ways to do the same shit more. Like, we're not even beating around the bush anymore. They don't have to stand in the lobby and yell at the representatives. They work in the fucking representatives' offices at this point. Like, it's earlier, they're like, oh, we need to... There was some press release out before Biden was making picks, where he was kind of preemptively doing some criticisms. It's like, look, if you limit us so we're not allowed to pick any CEOs, it's going to make it difficult to get the kind of representation we want, implying that they couldn't hire any black people if they weren't allowed to hire CEOs, further implying that I guess all black people are CEOs. There just aren't any you can pick that don't own a multinational corporation, I guess. Like, that's the kind of shit they're doing before they even picked people. last weird thing about this, all these people work for the same like think tank, the same like Obama era. Oh God, I freaking typed down the name of this. Did I just put it in the wrong?
I knew what this was too.
The
Damn it.
Obama buddies.
I don't have any specific reason where I can tinfoil hat point like, oh, they're doing this bad thing, but concentration of power. Wow, all these fucking soon to be very powerful people worked at the same business.
So
Like, you're
here's
not
another
even
one for you,
trying.
because you have it listed there, and I suspect perhaps not a lot of non-tech people know this. Google was the parent company of YouTube and these other things. That has not been true for several years now. They rebranded and or formed a new company called Alphabet, and Alphabet owns Google, YouTube,
Everything.
Android, all of those other things, similar to how Comcast rebranded to Xfinity because the Comcast name got too tarnished. The Google execs noticed that the name Google getting tied to things inherently meant more visibility on them.
Oh, West Exec Advisors. That is the I call it like a think tank, but it's just like, hey, a bunch of rich people, y'all want to sit on this board and collect checks for no fucking reason? It's West Exec Advisors. So
Yeah.
they all kind of hang out, they all can coordinate a plan. And do you think that they are going to be supporting the kind of policy that will benefit me, you, or anyone listening to this? Unless Bezos, if you tuned in, it's probably going to help you. You'll be fine. But like rando workers, are they going to push the kind of change that will in any way benefit your life? And the answer is no. All right, I got a segment. We're repeating segments now because we've had enough episodes. This is this week's Is It Socialism? I will describe a problem, and then all three of us will take turns giving our quick like solution-y answer to it. And possibly that answer is socialism. Okay. I forwarded you guys a video, and even if you didn't see it, this will still make sense to you. But Donkey, Video Game Donkey, released a video called I'm done making good videos.
Yes.
Donkey doesn't want to make good YouTube videos anymore. And the reasons cited in the thing, he essentially talks about the insane upload schedule, and if you don't upload on YouTube, if you don't play the YouTube algorithm as hard as you possibly can, it's kind of like, what's the point? You will not succeed on YouTube unless you're already huge. And he talks about all the barriers to entry. Imagine trying to become a big deal video game YouTube channel right now. Unless you're like NBC, it's basically impossible. So there isn't so much a problem here. I guess the problem would be people being disincentivized to make longer, high effort, high quality content, in big air quotes, content, videos, stuff like that.
Yep.
So what's your take, Xander? Surprise, you're first.
Well, I would say the thing is, when it takes a longer time to make said things, you need more time and money to sustain yourself as you are working on said thing. So yes, socialism would help because we need to crank shit out so that we can get paid, so we can pay our rent. That's why we have this system we're doing. That's why you see what you do, because they need to get as much out as possible. You get what I'm saying.
I'm going to go in the middle, so I'm not always one going last on this segment.
All right.
Yeah, essentially, if you work for, I say work for, this is kind of my whole point. If you work for YouTube or really any platform, you could do the same thing with Instagram, whatever. There's certain incentivized ways to behave. So it's not that YouTube is your boss that comes down, like if you worked at Burger King and says, you must work these hours and produce this. They don't tell you that, but they curb your behavior in a way that, okay, man, you can do whatever you want, but if you do not do X, Y, Z, format your thumbnails in a certain way, release things in this way, don't swear in the first 90 seconds. Like there's this huge list of ways to make your shit more successful.
And they don't tell you the list.
Say like and subscribe.
Oh no, you're not allowed to know the list.
Yeah.
You aren't allowed to know exactly what it is, but it's suggested. You kind of figure it out through your own like experimentation. So you end up having the same wage slave ultra shit conditions, but without even the protection. It's like the Uberization of short films that is YouTube now, where it's all on demand, and if you fail, you are just totally fucked. There is no safety net. There is no institution to help you. But if you have great success, we will demand a portion of your profits.
Yeah. Why would I work 6 months on something for 300 views?
That's what I do. By the way, Coyote on YouTube. Watch my high effort videos that all have under 500 views.
It's maddening. It's maddening.
If you've, yeah. We at the Draggor crew worked on MST3K Night of the Living Dead, where we edited a whole movie together.
It's still
just,
very
it
funny.
was so much work. Oh yeah, I'm very proud of it, but it wasn't economically smart.
What you would have to do is release either one of those that's like an hour long every single week, or a 10-minute something every single day for the rest of your life, and you gotta pray that that ad revenue comes in eventually.
Yeah. And you have to edit, you have to write the joke, you have to put it in, you have to do this and that. I mean, it's a lot of fucking shit.
Draggor, you are the last word on this one.
With the caveat of, I agree it shouldn't have to be the case, considering what life is today. There are other ways to make it doing what Donkey does that he does not do. And most specifically, Patreon or things like it has exploded. You get to go directly to the creator with asterisks, and he might have to scale back, but a lot of our favorite people that we check out have figured out how to make a low to modest living doing the thing they love for the most part, at their pace. You still have to adhere to the fact that if you go too long without putting stuff out, they're going to withdraw from funding your art. But that's essentially what Patreon is as it sells it to you. You're not necessarily buying the thing, even though some Patreon does support that style. You're funding the artist because you like their artistic voice and you want them to create without having to adhere to bullshit pressure of YouTube. I'm fascinated that Donkey, with as phenomenal as he is, or Anonymous with how many views they get, people would sign up for that. Not necessarily in the 25% of this million viewers is going to sign up. No, they won't. But that's enough viewers that I'm going to use a money term, your conversion rate is going to be significant enough. They've got the notoriety. They just have to learn this new way to make it work.
So I don't disagree with anything you said, but it's just like a neo version of tipped wages.
Correct.
No, you don't actually get paid to do the job. You get paid based on how well you can do your fucking monkey dance for these people, and hopefully they throw $1 at you.
Well,
even though we, the massive, ridiculous company, YouTube, owned by Alphabet, the Google people, we can't do fucking anything for you. But if you go to a totally different website, you might be able to pay your rent. It just sucks so bad. And if Patreon gets big enough, Patreon will suck too, just like YouTube does now.
Agreed.
They already introduced a pay model, remember?
Yep.
Patreon used to be you can do tiers. Now it's you must pay us to try to get money. It's just a nightmare hell world we all live in. All right, I must go to the bathroom. So I'm going to...
You were going to say, Draggor?
Xander and I are, for our secret project, as we ever nudge forward on it, are looking at, do we start with a Kickstarter type thing? Do we start with the Kickstarter, and if it fails, go to Patreon? Do we just start a Patreon-like thing? Do we sidestep all of it and just do our own store and do as much direct sales as possible?
And that's the thing. We've been trying to make a thing that will last long term, that's going to actually be able to support us. And to create such a thing takes a long time in planning. So it's that fun dance of, do I take commissions now and try to support myself this way, or do I go for the long game and develop this thing?
If we had a loan of no interest and easy forgiveness of $1 million, we would have released the thing already, because we would have been able to relax, dedicate, and coordinate, and even hire. But because we're not lucky enough to have easy access to capital like that, because we weren't born rich.
Yeah, dealing with pandemic households and all that shit, and all sorts of fun problems.
Listener, you're essentially listening to this whole situation we're describing play out in real time with this podcast, by the way. If you can see, we're sticking the first few episodes on. You stick the first few episodes on YouTube or wherever for free. Then once you have a small amount of money, you get some distribution. And then if we get enough listeners, we'll eventually do a Patreon where we'll have some small rewards. You can sit with us. Right now, we're all on a Discord call, and I would love to do a thing where if you pay $1 a month, you just sit in the Discord. You can't talk, but you can listen to the recording session. That would be a thing where we're all gonna play video games. the fact that you have to like get out there, it's busking. It's all
Yes.
internet busking. You have to get on the street corner and play your guitar at people who do not really want to hear you until hopefully maybe it works out and someone gives you a small amount of money. Or it just doesn't.
Or someone with a big fucking monocle says, "My God, man, you should play my show," right? And then you get $1 million. So are we on to the new segment or no?
Yeah, we're doing Draggor?
I don't know.
Draggor, it is your topic.
All right, so I only gave 3 words for it, but there's a very specific example we're going to just dive right into. Not right into. It's callouts, apologies, and furry. So let's get some definitions in place, because this is where I think some fun arguments are going to happen.
Oh, boy.
Each of us will say what we think a call-out as it is in the past 3 months today.
So you don't mean an example of one. You mean like our definition of the term.
What is your definition of a call-out?
Here's mine. Hey, here's this person. Maybe you shouldn't be following him. Maybe you and I'd say that would count as a call out.
Okay.
And usually they would have a screenshot of said behavior, and maybe you shouldn't be following them. And that's pretty much saying,
Okay.
yeah,
Pepper?
that's my loose
I
definition.
think there's about 15 different like social phenomena that are all called either call out or cancel.
Gosh, you're stumbling upon my point.
That's what I mean. My whole greater point, and you've talked to me ahead of this, is I don't know if I could give a concise definition of any of that fits everything that is called that.
Is that
satisfactory?
All right. No. I have one more challenge to you. Try and pick a definition that within the realm of your average furry on Twitter. What do you think they would like? Where would you put your definition if it's framed like that, or is it just as broad there as well?
This fits all of them. So it's I would define a call out as an attempt to raise awareness of an individual's behavior or things they said or a picture they took to further raise awareness of things a person did, said, wore, etc.
All right.
That's fair.
I like that, especially because you essentially said most of what I would say, and I will tack on what I'm going to call the intended use coda, which is the purpose of doing what you just said is because the subject is perceived to be in some position of power or influence, and that going unchecked is bad if what they are spreading is bad. In other words, the Me Too movement is a form of call out and is important because those voices very routinely are silenced by the people doing the shitty. So that is a good example of a call out. What both of you led towards is the highly individualistic call out.
Well, you did ask for a furry version, so I was...
So I would say most of the time when furries are calling stuff out, it is with, I'm going to presume, the good-natured intent of it is a person with some perceived form of influence and what they are spreading is harmful. So if you're presuming the good point there, we all have commented on of what use is calling out a person. To clarify before I say what I'm going to say, follower count does not have anything to do with value of you as a person or what you produce or quality or anything. Mm-hmm. However, as far as Twitter is concerned, it is a modest measure of the potential voices and eyeballs you are reaching. It is a mild measure of influence.
Perceived, the where you mentioned before, the having a perceived, like having a platform or is a person of note.
Oh, you said the other word I haven't said yet. I like it.
Person of note?
No, platform.
Oh, yeah.
Because then we're going to get to a prefix in that maybe. So how do each of you draw the line? Like, do you think people should call out someone who has 68 followers when the person who notices has like 2 orders of magnitude more?
I try to base who I use my like social media energy on based on like, kind of a sliding scale of do they have influence over the thing I'm talking about? Like, here's two counter examples. Doing a call out of some rando who just a random American citizen who has a weird opinion, like I believe in QAnon or flat Earth shit, and I'm just throwing that out there, and then taking this complete rando, this complete nobody, and being like, what a dumbass. Like, okay, that's a kind of a call out. Versus if that person is a United States senator, that person. Call them out, please. We need as many call outs for people who actually run shit as possible. Those I view as like those are very drastically different examples. Now, where somewhere in the middle would be is if to me specifically about furry, if someone who runs a fur con or a department of a con has a weird take or action or something that is relevant to what they do. Like, it can't just be, oh, this person has a bad opinion about the Red Sox, so I'm gonna shit on them about their like hospitality position at this FurCon. Like, because otherwise you're just like, this person has a bad Trump opinion. It's like, yeah, but does that inhibit their ability to work first aid at this convention? No. All right. Unless they're like, I will not first aid any Jews. That'd be fucked up. That'd be very relevant.
Yeah.
Extremely relevant.
I guess that's what I think you kind of hit on what's worried about, though. Yeah. I think, definitely.
Yeah, that's what people like to extrapolate and essentialize, but I don't want to derail Draggor's topic.
Mm-hmm. Xander, did you are you about there different?
I have nothing to add right now, unfortunately.
That means I'm right. Ha ha.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'm pretty in line with that. If I do, like, if I'm gonna go and quote tweet a thing that blows my mind, and I just want that topic and proof that another person said it out there, I do really believe in anonymizing as much as possible the source.
Oh, yeah, take a screen cap of just the text and leave all their identifying info out and be like, what a stupid sentence.
Yeah.
That's fine. Criticize a thought, not like, come attack this person.
Using it as an idea, an example, as said by another human being, but without need to identify the human being, as saying, people like this are out there.
Yeah.
So let's get right to it, shall we?
Oh, sure, by all means.
I'm going to read the headline and little summary of a news post that, if you have not seen it, there was a whole bunch of Twitter stuff going down with Pepper, and I'm fascinated by it. I am infinitely fascinated by it.
This is also our mainstream minute.
Yes. Okay. So
I missed all of it.
The Canucks, a hockey team owner, cuts ties with an anthem singer, Mark Donnelly, over plan to sing at an anti-mask rally. After the Vancouver Sun confirmed Mark Donnelly planned to sing at a Vancouver protest against COVID-19 health restrictions, team owner Francesco Aquilini announced that the NHL team is cutting ties with the longtime anthem singer. And now I'm going to read a couple
I just got to throw out the reason why you might know who this is. This is the guy who, there's a tape of him where he skates around while he sings. That's like his gimmick. And there's footage of one time he trips over his own mic cable. And it's like, oh, Canada, our home and native land. True. And he gets up, keeps singing, and it's a hilarious video. That's the only reason you may have like seen him in a meme.
So the initial post is, I would say, very, very harmless. We've reached a new level. The Canucks canceled this guy, the I fell down while skating and singing the U.S. anthem guy. Just as a point of amusement, but then you specifically used the term canceled because...
Oh, yeah. That was start shit.
Yes. And it's.
I'm not saying this post was not wanting a response.
No, you were fishing. You were absolutely fishing. And then it's the follow-ups where things really went crazy. I think you should wear a mask. I also think you shouldn't be fired for not wanting to wear one or for not wearing one somewhere other than work. This is a huge company exercising power over a guy who barely gets paid. And then I believe the follow-up is important as well. Remember that these are calls based on public opinion, not morality or anything. The kind of rally only matters if it's seen as embarrassing to the brand. One day I'll get a show pulled because I attended some leftist event, and I'll be mad then too.
These are all my tweets, by the way, that he's reading, if that wasn't clear to the listener. These are things that I tweeted.
And things got interesting. Very, very interesting.
It immediately became like Pepper doesn't give a shit about COVID, and that is so not the conversation I wanted to have.
Correct. So here's where what I said previously of the conflict of ideals when harm is spread there's two things of harm at play. And in this particular case, there is the pandemic and interpretations of that. I think also what you said without context is what riled a lot of people. I also think you shouldn't be fired for not wanting to wear one or for not wearing one somewhere other than work. I don't know, Pepper, like, how much did you foresee that sentence being the crux of where it quote unquote went wrong?
The fact that people ignore the first sentence in that tweet where I'm like, you should wear a mask. Like, I put that sentence and they're like, oh, people are going to think I'm like an anti-mask person now. Okay, the actual conversation I wanted to have was like, what are the appropriate consequences for when someone does something that is antisocial? When someone does something at the detriment of the group or, you know, whoever. I don't really care about the detriment of the company because that's like not my shtick.
Right.
I don't really give a shit if your company gets hurt. But like, how do we deal with things? Because people want to view this as like, good job, the Canucks. You made this good moral decision where it's not. It's like, oh, this guy's embarrassing, so we got to fire him. I got fired for being, I could be embarrassing to the place I work at.
So
it was not over not wearing a mask during a fucking pandemic. It was over some other horse shit. And while this guy individually may or may not be a piece of shit, I am never in favor of centralizing power to, you know what, whoever is your current employer, they have complete control over your destiny. And if they want to essentially sentence you to death, aka homelessness, they can just do that, and that's fine as long as we, the judges of what is good and right, determine that it was a justifiable reason to fire you. Does that make sense?
If I may channel my inner griller, I think a lot of the reaction is that people's first, like Draggor said, people know the first thing is, oh my God, the pandemic takes precedence over everything. And the thing is, we talk about actions. Is planning to sing at somewhere an action that you should be able to be fired for? And then where you get the conversation is where I channel my inner griller is you'll get people saying, well, if he's going to fuck their company, then he should be able to fire them. Like when you said you don't care about the company, how the company does, fucking Americans will think, oh my God, what about the poor company? And
oh my God, try to talk shit on the PS5 right now. You can't do it.
So yeah, that's the thing is like they didn't do any. The idea is like the company didn't do anything wrong. It's going to hurt their bottom line. They can hire anybody else. Blah blah blah. These are all true facts. But the thing is, it's coming from that angle of we're supposed to care about the company, and I don't know how to counter that. You know,
we are still firing some guy during a pandemic, and the reason I don't like I just shouldn't have chosen any specific example, but I did that on purpose because it's kind of like you got to challenge your actual ideals, because all three of us would absolutely unequivocally be like, if I said, do racist people deserve housing, food, educate, all the shit that I think are like human rights, you would all say, yeah, of course. They shouldn't just be like on the streets dying just because they have like bad thoughts. Like, you know, we will work to improve the racism part, but in the meantime, you don't get like, oh, you're not allowed to have a house or like the consequences should be you can't afford to pay your rent or whatever. Most of you would be like, yeah, of course. But then if I list any specific example, not you two specifically, but internet people, they'll be like, oh, well, this person did X, therefore I have now justified why they should be on the street. All of us know how huge of a consequence a job loss is to like a rando. If fucking like Elon Musk gets canned from one of his 9,000 give me money for doing nothing jobs, I don't care at all. He's fine. But if some random Burger King employee who tweeted the N-word 2 times gets fired over it, it's like that guy's fucked. Like so fucked. That shouldn't be our only tool for dealing with this.
I agree. Like my answer immediately is I tried prodding you and didn't get a response. My specific question was, would your opinion change if the proper social safety net was in place? And this essentially was I want more than the basics to survive job. Does your opinion change?
If we're in a world where all of those basic needs I just talked about are met, then yeah, being fired is no longer the consequence that it was. It's now different. It's like, oh, yeah, you were being a dick, so you got to be out of our club. It's not nearly as it'd be like kicking one of you off of this podcast. It wouldn't fucking ruin your life. It would just be, I'm no longer welcome in this particular place until I like demonstrate growth. And let's still be clear. This is still a situation where that job was lucrative enough and he and his family can't afford the
higher end limited housing, and they have to move and go to less means. Like, they still get to survive.
Well, in my future socialist utopia, there would never be a situation where you couldn't live in X neighborhood, like what you just described as like gentrification, basically, where, this
Yes.
neighborhood is too expensive to live in. That wouldn't be a thing if you're guaranteed housing. Because what do you mean, too expensive? Huh?
Because
this is
there's
the place I
still
live. How are they
going
gonna
to
get
be
priced
limited
out?
resources. There's still going to be limited luxury. I'm picturing in my head
Limited
the
luxury resources,
likely,
yeah. They don't have to live in a fucking penthouse under socialism either. But you get like your place
I am
to
not
live.
saying like the ideal imagined state. I'm saying if we were to get some form of actual socialism here in the United States, what would that look like? And jobs would still very much be a thing. And so this person losing it would be notable.
I would, not to keep bringing up Star Trek, but
Hmm.
in Star Trek, people do not have to freak out about housing, food, education, travel, the things that I consider your basic rights. So what ends up being the hit is just like, it's kind of a social, it's like a loss of prestige, I guess. Like, you just get
you
a
lose,
shitty
you lose
reputation.
the big office with the nice desk.
You end up with, this is still more
Your
material.
quarters are half the size. Look at Deep Space Nine. They still had.
You're getting into the argument of how full luxury space communism actually does not represent communism.
I know. Okay, I have reached the end of my
military
prodding
peace
on
force.
callouts. I will save the apologies section for next time.
This is all I'm going to say, and that might be inflammatory. I don't know. We'll find out. But if I were the owner, I'd be tempted to do a Batman and go against my principles because I know there's a pandemic and what he said might lead to deaths. So that is like where a lot of people are coming from, and I think that's why it got such a like inflammatory reaction. Like, people are like they will say, "Hey, yeah, this is technically against what I think, but I think I'm going to save some people's lives if I do this." And that's a real thought.
The people who were the most upset with me perceived me as saying, "Oh, there should be no consequences that ever result in anyone getting fired ever." If we want to go about this specific, if we really have to be this specific, we can't talk about the general idea, which is what I want to fucking talk about. If we have to be about this specific situation, I'd be like, okay, you know this guy's an asshole. So what you're gonna do is put him on administrative leave, like the cops get when they fucking kill people. So you're gonna sit on administrative leave for a little bit. The NHL is in its fucking off season. They're like, what if he infects his It's like, they aren't doing games. This is a performative firing to try and win a little bit of brownie points. That's my issue.
I agree, and that's why I'm pointing. I originally pointed out that sentence because in isolation, the sentence you said doesn't carry the
It's Twitter.
specification that they're all not gathering and getting work. He's not actually introducing risk. That is where I think.
Put him on admin leave, and then when the pandemic is over and you aren't being a fucking evil bastard anymore, then fire him. Be like, hey man, what the fuck? There you go. He's like, okay, look, dude, we're gonna put you on leave until this time, then you're out of here when this pandemic is over because people are like, look at all these other things he did. I'm like, you're moralizing and individualizing my argument here, but why didn't they use any of those? Apparently he's like an anti-abortion person. It's like, well, use your fucking performative nonsense firing and say it's because he's anti-abortion. But you won't do that because that's not a universally accepted thing. That would cause controversy. It's the overall idea of like what should happen when someone needs to be disciplined in a job situation. Because the current mode is fire them, cancel them, deplatform them, and push them in a corner. But those people don't go away. It's not like we executed them. They're still there. He's still going to that rally. He's still talking to his friends. He's still not wearing masks.
Sure.
If the goal is to get people to wear masks, that's a conversation we can have. How do you get people to wear masks? Give everybody a free mask. We haven't even done that. Like the Biden admin is like, oh, we're going to do 100 days of masks. Bitch, are you fucking sending out 100 masks? To every person, well, total. Are you sending out masks? Are we getting masks for free? If you give everybody a mask in the entire country, if you sit everybody at home with a check, they don't have to worry about rent. If you cancel everybody's mortgage and they still want to go out and be assholes, first of all, they won't be able to because all the low-wage employees that make their assholishness even possible will be sitting at home with their COVID checks. You cannot have your anti-COVID rally if nobody's going to set up your fucking speakers and like chairs and wipe the asses of all the rich assholes who show up to it. Like, do you see how this all compounds on itself? And if the real thing we want to go after, we should go after the thing we want to go after, not this moralizing ass shittery. I'm just saying curses now.
I think Joe's gonna he's gonna say yes to the
Oh my
masks
God.
that the USPS wanted to send out.
That could have been
before.
day one.
And
that
that's
could have
just-
been
and
month one.
he'll get
With
credit
your
for
COVID
that.
check comes 5 masks in a pack.
Sometimes I forget when you put
And
us
Trump
together.
said no.
I sit there and go, "How have we not burned the whole thing down as a society already?"
Yeah.
Nah.
We're
and
getting
then I
there.
get up at 8 a.m. and
If they
Yeah, and
do
then I get
fail
up at 8
on
a.m.
getting out
and
those
work
masks, I'll
my-
be pissed.
corporate tech bro job.
Hey man, it's all right. You don't own a tech bro company, and you aren't laying off people to meet fucking profit quotas. And
I'll say this without naming my company. I was part of an underperforming employees review process, and the questions that were being asked of me, I caught on.
you realize, like, oh, they want to fire
And
this
I'm
dude.
like, you don't have you don't have to confirm or deny anything, but if firing is anywhere near at play, no, it's a pandemic. Do not fire him.
It's good. That's
Like I
using-
said that specifically to my manager. And I was very pleased when he said
Nice.
that has already been considered, and if an action's taken, it will be after.
I mean, like the literal least you can do. But yeah, that's
So
good.
yeah,
Not you, like the
Like-
company.
right.
So, all right, we are already way past the hour that we usually do. So, Xander, you're going to
Oh,
get the
boy.
treatment I got last week, where we will start with your topic next time. Hey,
That's okay.
Here's a tease. Tell us what you're going to be talking about in the next recording.
I am going to be talking about self-help. Is it worth saving? Because I have had a long history of dabbling in and being introduced to self-help, and Jordan Peterson's back in the news, and that's always a thing. And I'm sure you've heard tons of things about why he's a piece of shit, and I also think he's a piece of shit. But we're just going to be talking in general. Like, is it something that is even worth having around?
There is definitely something about Jordan Peterson would not have the insane popularity he has if he was not relating to a chunk, a demographic. He definitely has them nailed.
Well, he's literally appealing to a huge demographic because he's in a system where a bunch of people aren't doing as well as they thought they would be doing, and
Not
are
just distressed. They have
So-
basically not had self-actualization, which to an extent is by design. You're not supposed to be able
Yeah.
to do that under capitalism.
And he's found the boogeyman of whatever the fuck cultural Marxism is, and that's how he got his foot in the door to give you his self-help book.
Cultural
Which is
Marxism,
insane,
a
but we'll talk about
slogan
that.
gotcha talking point or whatever from the literal Nazis that is just sticking
Yeah,
around.
means
It
nothing.
doesn't mean anything. If you're sitting there like, what does cultural
Yeah.
Marxism even mean? Are they going to tell me? It doesn't mean fucking anything.
Yeah.
It is a vague, amorphous nothing that changes depending on who you're talking to.
Two random words put together that sound good. It sounds like a thing.
All right, so this is kind of a cock tease of the upcoming topic you just mentioned, but oh frick, did I lose my thought? I had a freaking slam dunk like last minute thing we were going to talk about.
Oh no!
Oh, okay, I just remembered. So Jordan Peterson, the demographic that he tends to nail is like white millennial dudes who, as Draggor said, have been told their whole lives this American dream lie of, oh, if you do X, Y, and Z, you will be successful. You'll have your own house. You'll have a family. You'll have a normal American dream life. So my thing is, how do we fucking reach those people? Not, and we've had the discussion. It should not be the greatest amount of your energy put forth trying to like convince angry white gamer dudes that they should become communists. That's not the best use of your energy, and it's also like not your job to do so. But there are an ass shit ton of that demographic in the country, and they are going to go somewhere. What do we do? Because like, if I was a bad faith shitlord who had been told by 4chan and 8chan my whole life that the left hates you because you're white, and then you go and look around, it's not that hard to
Yeah.
like confirmation bias convince yourself that the left in fact does hate white people. Because like a lot of when I talk about economically abused people, obviously the people who are hit the worst are marginalized communities. If you are anything but a white cis straight man, you are more fucked than the white cis straight men. But the white cis straight men still are fucked. They're just like on a different level of fucked. You know what I mean? Like they're the most powerful, completely powerless peons of capitalism.
Yeah.
And like we got kind of the left kind of has nothing for them. They're like, here, come over here. We'll call you an asshole.
The hip thing to do for a while is say, white people suck. Or,
it's still funny, and I still say that.
But like,
it's trying to pull away from, like, when I say white people suck, I don't mean every single human I see that has light skin. Yeah, when I say that, I'm like Chris Columbus. That's what I mean when I'm like white people, like Cortez. Like the colonialists,
and
those are like white people suck. The Crusades, the kings of England, white people suck. That's what I mean when I'm talking about that. All right, so I just said a lot of stuff. Draggor, give me your last minute because you haven't talked in a bit, so I'm going to you first.
Per what was just said, really makes me want to get into both deplatforming and apologies. Because I think deplatforming is very important.
Yeah.
I think there are certain people that should not be allowed to get on Joe Rogan because there are otherwise well-meaning people that don't know what's happening. There's a lot of people that fell into Jordan Peterson as it's a cult. Like someone well-meaning.
Hey, if you want to talk about YouTube and how they algorithmically made people like Jordan Peterson extremely exposed and popular, that's a conversation we can have too.
Yes. And
a reason why those fuckers should not be running our cultural lives.
I agree. But considering what we have here, deplatforming is important. YouTube is a place where just everyone is gonna go. It's a thing. It's out there. It
only
has
two
nothing to do with the
websites.
website. It's in your brain.
There's Google and there's YouTube. They're the only websites.
Yeah.
But actually.
And while we're working on unfucking that, deplatforming on YouTube is important.
I swear I see a fucking story about there's a big firm bust of YouTube and this and that, and nothing ever fucking happens with those.
Oh, like Liz Warren, break them up.
Breaking up the platforms. I don't know.
Yo, now that they're cabinet members, like big execs in these companies, I am sure that these antitrust lawsuits are going to go extremely fairly and will be no way influenced by the fact that the president's cabinet is full of basically those people's friends. Okay. I hate these people. You just got to do it for the right reasons. Jeez.
Yeah.
I agree.
I feel like I forfeited my last minute. I talked so much this week.
Oh, it's okay. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to watch some wrestling. You guys, we got a full hour and a half of shit for me to edit down from here.
It's all good.
Hey, if you want to financially support us, PayPal, what is it? PayPal.me/Last Minute Politics Podcast. It's going to be in the description under this.
/
It costs $9 a month. For $9 a month, we get to stay on
Please
Spotify
do. I had
and
to buy
iTunes
new
and all this
contacts.
shit. So give us at least that. And if you want us to keep building, give us a little more. We want to get into things. We want to do a Patreon. Want to hang out with you. If you guys listen to this and want to talk this shit with us, that could be an opportunity in the future if things go well enough.
Yeah. There might be a website. I don't know how much that matters.
Do website. We do a Q&A episode. We could hang out and play video games with randos and scream about the list of people who we're all supposed to hate loudly.
Let us be performative leftists.
I miss Jeff Flake. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake. I miss hating him. He's gone now. I can't do it. Yeah, he was a huge flake. He absolutely was a flake.
He had a good name. That
Whenever
fucking
times
flake.
got tough and he had to actually make a call, he flakes out, but he loves to get on TV. He's like
That's
a
why it
Mitt
was
Romney.
great.
Yeah, it's awesome. He was out. He's like, no more politics for me.
And got screamed out in the elevator. I remember that.
How about Xander? How about do you miss the odd times that were
up?
the end of Rod Blagojevich?
Blagojevich.
Oh my God.
You guys live in Illinois.
I couldn't stop hearing about Rod because of
Blagojevich
my dad,
had a
'cause,
huge scandal. He was he was trying to literally sell up, what was it, a cabinet position or his own Senate seat or some shit?
A Senate seat, basically, yeah.
Yeah, Obama. He was selling Obama's now vacant, previously vacant Senate seat because he won the presidency. And he's like, I got this thing. I think I'm supposed to just fucking give it away? Like, that's a tape of him like, what, am I supposed to not sell this Senate seat to the literal highest bidder? It's him on tape saying that. It's great.
I'm sorry. I thought this was America.
Illinois' got a history of sending our governors to jail, though.
Thank you for hanging out. This has been Last Minute Politics. I'm Pepper. Yell your names.
I'm Draggor.
I'm Xander.
A good night.
Good night.